Hello and welcome. This is The Chat. I am Manny. My guests on the program today was a soldier in the army. He had a distinguished military career as governor of Western Nigeria and eventually Oyo State. But it was quite remarkable in his military days. Flamboyant looking, and one thing in particular was he wore a pair of glasses that became a designer glasses, especially amongst musicians and taxi drivers.
David Jemibewon is a retired Nigerian Army general, former military governor, a lawyer, former Minister of Police Affairs, and currently the Jagumolu of Ibadan, Oyo State. Born in July 1940 and raised in Kogi and Delta states, Jemibewon is the first of 5 children. Upon completing primary school, he had a brief stint in the civil service before enlisting in the army in 1961 as a cadet, training in Aldershot, England. He is an alumnus of the Nigerian Defence Academy, the University of Lagos, Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, and the Defence Academy in both England and the United States of America. When he returned to Nigeria, he settled to a rosy military career as he grew within the ranks and had many appointments. He was Chief Instructor, Nigerian Defence Academy, General Officer Commanding GOC 1st Infantry Division. He was appointed the military governor of the now-defunct Western State during the regime of General Murtala Mohammed, and in 1976 appointed military governor of Oyo State. After his retirement in 1983, he was appointed the pioneer Minister of Police Affairs under the democratic government of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. While serving as minister, Jemibewon introduced a 5-year plan for the recovery of the police and set up the Nigerian Police Service Commission to better equip the police with the task of internal security. Jemibewon also served as chairman of the Constitution Drafting Committee of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in 1998 during preparations for the democratic elections which ushered Nigeria to a 4th republic. The octogenarian who recently entered the League of the Big 80s is a member of the PDP Board of Trustees and spends his retirement in the company of his children, grandchildren, and friends.
General David Jemibewon, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, first I must say to you, for turning 80. That was on the 20th of July, right?
Exactly.
Take us back to your early days. You grew up in your village?
Yes, I did.
Where's that?
My village happens to be very close to Kaba. And I'm sure you know where Kaba is.
Yes. I was just saying at the beginning that you had a pair of glasses that everybody wanted to wear. I couldn't afford it at that time. It was called Jemibewon, and that's what you're wearing now, isn't it?
It couldn't have been this particular glass.
Yeah, okay.
But to be honest with you, I wasn't conscious of it. I had people saying it, and I didn't set out to promote myself or the eyeglasses. It just happened that way. And so you find that a lot of things that become historic, sometimes they are not planned.
In your early days, your parents, especially your father, was it, did not quite encourage your education. Is that right?
That's very true. I wouldn't know why, and I didn't have an opportunity of asking him why. But I can understand it because we were in a rural area. School was not a common thing in those days. And, children were expected to help their parents in the farm. So when all these put together accumulatively, discourage parents from sending their children to school.
What kind of kid were you when you were young? Rascally? Obedient?
I think obedient.
I think rascally.
Anyway, if you were existing at the time and that is your conclusion, but
Yeah, but I mean, interestingly, as you grew, you met someone that encouraged you, after school to go into the army.
I must be honest with you, and I hope you wouldn't doubt my sincerity. But if you do, you give your reasons. To be honest, nobody influenced me to decide exactly what I wanted to do. However, maybe from the behavior of some people, I was encouraged. Right?
What was your lifestyle like when you became an officer? The first day. I mean, you must have graduated being a cadet officer. Or...
Yes, I think in Kaduna, when you are a cadet, it's for a period of 6 months.
Yeah.
And if you succeed, you pass out. Because it's not automatic. Then, of course, if you are within a certain class or number of what the military wants, then opportunity was there to go overseas, to actually become a commissioned officer after further training. And so, not everybody who went in as cadet succeeded in becoming an officer.
But you succeeded.
Of course.
You became governor of Western states. That was what it was referred to then. Did you see yourself becoming a governor at any point in time? Or was it just something that just came on your laps and you had to face it?
Thank you very much. I didn't see myself as becoming a governor because I didn't join the army with the objective of being a governor.
What was your objective of joining the army then?
To make a successful career of the military.
To defend your nation? And in doing that...
We're all used to saying that now, but whatever it entailed, I was prepared to face it. Okay? If joy came out of it, I was prepared to partake in the joy. If hardship came out of it, I was prepared to take part in the hardship. And just like any profession, you must be prepared for the good and the bad. Not too good, not too bad. And pray for the best.
What were your good experiences in the military, having, retired now?
I will encourage military training for all Nigerian youth. However, with the situation today, I am not really sure if we stand a chance of gaining full benefit of compulsory military service. Because it seems to me that our country has been messed up politically. In those days when we joined the army...
Who messed it up? Who messed
the
it up?
Nigerians themselves. Nigerians themselves.
There are two types of Nigerians, it would seem, in Nigeria, the military and the civilian.
I'm not sure. I'm not... of course, by your terms, maybe you may be correct, but I doubt very much. I think there ought to be one single Nigeria, the typical Nigerian. There shouldn't be two Nigerians. Okay. So, because at the time I joined the army, nobody emphasized that where you come from. We happen to all be Nigerians. And everybody helps everybody to succeed. But today, it's not exactly so. I think, and those who have, by my view, those who have been instrumental in getting us where we are the politicians. They are the politicians.
I know you were very vocal about corruption in your days. The corruption you're referring to, was it by the civilians or the military?
Oh, by the society. And since the society is made up of multiple groups of people, it's the society. It's the society. And at that time, really, I can't imagine, not because I happen to have a military background, but I'm not too sure that we ever had the type of corruption we have today, both in the civil and the military.
What do you think is responsible for that?
It's a very good question. I think it's greed.
Let's talk about your achievements in government as governor. What are the sort of things that people will see today and say, this is one of the legacies David Jemibewo left behind for your state, so the people of that region? That's
a very good question. That's a very good question. But again, it will depend on individuals. But as is a good question. First, road safety in Nigeria. If people want to be fair, I don't know how they could write the history of Federal Road Safety Commission without mentioning my name. Nothing like that existed until I was governor in Ibadan.
Why was it so important to you at that time? There were not many cars, and
but
the roads were not terribly as bad as they are today.
But I wasn't satisfied the way transportation was being operated in Ibadan. Okay, don't forget that in those days there were few universities in Nigeria, and within these few universities, two were Ibadan-based, two were Western-based, Ife and Ibadan. And between Ife and Ibadan, it happened to be a narrow road in those days. There was one particular accident where 32 people died. I'm not necessarily saying they were students. So I gave all this a thought. And I said, look, we needed to do something. So, and luckily for me, I was, apart from my initial training in Nigeria and Britain, I was trained in Staff College in the United States. And I saw their police, I saw how they control traffic, and I just felt, even if we couldn't attain that level, it was something we should be able to do to reduce the waste of human lives, particularly this young future Nigeria on that road. Road safety, as we set it up in Ibadan, was a big success. In the sense that the Federal Road Safety Commission is built along the system we created in Ibadan. But I must say that credit must go to two people who made it possible. One is late Yaradua, because what happened is that General Obasanjo had become head of state, and many people didn't think a section of the country ought to establish any system to control road traffic. And so they said it should be the responsibility of police. And they opposed Oyo State going into that road safety. And when I put a defense, Obasanjo told me to see Yaradua, because he was in charge of administration affecting states. And so I approached him to explain, and he understood it. But it's police that was mainly opposing it. And what he said was that anything that will reduce casualties on our roads ought to be supported by all well-meaning people, and that has to go ahead. But for President Babangida, in fact, they would have succeeded in possibly abolishing this road commission. He was the one who now uses ingenuity in saying, okay, let us adopt this on national level.
You pick a question and you answer the question. Come on, General. Yep, that's one paper slip.
This is very interesting. This is the first time I've seen.
Yes.
What is your view at the challenges of aging, and how do you manage to live well?
Well then, I mean, you are doing so well at 80 already. Who knows what you would look like at 90? And the big 100. Are you the kind of person who looks forward to that age?
I'm not looking forward to 100.
Why not?
Though I have no intention to commit suicide. But I'm not looking forward to being 100.
Well,
right now,
yes.
Just 80, I have pains all over my waist. And
What happened?
Sometimes it's so difficult to move. But I still manage to continue to move. And then I imagine if I have to add another 20 years, then it means I will be crawling. And I think it's more dignifying to disappear well than to get to an age where you are a nuisance.
For you, what are the major principles of life and living?
Whatever I tell you now doesn't mean I'm right, but that's what it looks to me. I think, fairness in whatever you do is very important. Simplicity, not carried to ridiculous extent, but you want to be as simple as possible. You want to live a clean life, to be fair. But that doesn't mean that one or two mistakes won't happen.
What really frustrates you about the administration of this country now?
Some years ago, it will appear nobody really cared where one came from, as long as you do that which you ought to do for the good of the country. Then coup came, counter coup and so on. We went to civil war. Civil war is over. We thought it would be difficult to unite the country again, but luckily, somehow, fortune smiled on us, and we were able to come together. Then when we thought we were making good progress, suddenly the whole place is messed up, and today is even worse. And that's why I'm emphasizing on politics. You find that so many things are so wrong. If you talk to ordinary Nigerians today, they've lost confidence in this country. I'm not saying me.
What about you?
I'm 80. So where am I going?
So what? You're still a citizen of this country?
Yeah, no. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That there's no way. I must stay here and we salvage this country. But the young ones, it's not easy to say they must stay here. You must make it possible for them to feel comfortable staying here.
Is it that it's difficult for a military man to, run this country as a civilian?
I don't think I wouldn't use the word difficult. I think Obasanjo did his best. He's a military man. Babangida did exceedingly well. He's a military man. The present head of state is there. We wish him the best of luck.
Is he doing as well as you expect him?
I just said we wish him the best of luck and the country.
You are married a second time, aren't you?
We haven't gone really through the process of doing the marriage or something. But to say I have a second wife, that will be correct.
Okay, you have a second wife?
Yes.
Oh, so what happened to the first wife?
My wife died.
Okay. What makes you happy the most?
My children, my family, yes. Because sometimes, and I want to believe that people of a certain age go through that process. Now, my children, sometimes when they are talking about me, I laugh, and it gives me pleasure. They make reference to how difficult I was and how much discipline I imposed on them. But they end up saying they thank God that they were not happy in those days, but they now realize that they have been well equipped.
How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel good. And I wish I could do a lot of things that go through my mind for them.
You are about to be cast away to an island. You're going to be allowed to take 5 items with you. Yeah? And what will the 5 items be on this castaway journey for 10 days?
I would like to be close to my God. And so my Bible should be number 1.
Okay. That's good enough.
Then, of course, you constantly refer to my eyeglasses. My eyes are bad. You know, those people buying those glasses, they thought I was enjoying myself, probably bluffing or wanting to be attractive, not knowing that actually I had eye problem. So, without my eyeglasses, it will be difficult for me to read. So, I think my eyeglasses should be 1.
Okay. That's 2.
Wherever I am going to be, if I can have a copy of the family photograph, by wherever I am, so that it can always remind me of those that ordinarily would have been around me, but under the circumstances, were not able to be around me. Maybe nobody can tell. You probably have some influence and have influenced certain people that should be waiting for me there. So I want I would want to have something to protect myself, in addition to all those things I've mentioned earlier.
As a soldier, have you ever killed someone?
No. And since it's a point-blank question, I would have decided not to answer the question, but I can tell you, I never killed anybody.
Okay. All right, so what's the
But
last...
that does not mean that I'm better than somebody who had killed somebody. It depends on the circumstances. Because sometimes when you don't kill, you'll be killed.
Yes. The 5th one.
I think I need cash.
General David Jemibewo.
Yes. I know the middle name is Medayeshi.
Medayeshi. I was thinking about that.
Which you couldn't pronounce.
No. Don't say I couldn't pronounce. I was General David Medayeshi Jemibewo. Thank you very much for being on the program.
Thank you very much.
God bless you for that.
I appreciate it. I pray that our country will continue to improve, and particularly you journalists, you are doing your job. One can imagine what could have happened if we don't have seasoned journalists like you and your colleagues to help our country. We continue to pray. I appreciate your coming.
Thank you very much, Major General Retired David Jemibewo. If you want me to also add Medayeshe, just to say I don't forget, he's been our guest on the chat this week. I am Manny. See you next time.